Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to one of my favourite Scottish breweries, and I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. So for this review we are going to head out towards Callander to the west of Stirling to a little place called Kippen, and we're having a taste of another beer from Fallen Brewing, and this one is from their new Surfline series, which is their kind of experimental range if you like. So for this one we're having a taste of the Eureka Pekko, and it's a West Coast IPA coming in at 6.6%. So I did mention in my last review that I did from Fallen, the Waganui, that they've got a new range of kind of beers that have snazzy artwork on the cans. So the artwork on these cans is designed by a guy called Zane Capassi, and it's basically, as I say, it's their more experimental beers. There's a lot of different pale ales and IPAs, and I think there was one or two sours and things when I looked at the other ones that they had, but this was the one that I thought would be most interesting to try. The two hop varieties in this are ones, I think I've had Eureka before, but I think it's very rare that you'll come across that these days, and Pekko was a hop variety that I hadn't heard of at all. So really looking forward to trying this one. It's always cool to try new hops, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Fallen Brewing before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Scottish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Fallen Brewing then. So Fallen Brewing was established by Paul Fallen, who of course it takes its name from, but he was a former home brewer who decided to turn professional. So initially, to reduce the startup costs of the company and also to determine what kind of brew kit he should buy, he initially brewed the beers under contract at Traditional Scottish Ales, which is now known as the Black Wolf Brewery, and you can find it in Throsk near Stirling. But the brewery now live in the old Kippen railway station, which is quite close to Callander out towards the west of Stirling, and this is in the vicinity of the Fintry Hills and Gargunnock, which is a very pretty part of the country. If you head out over there, you know, you can head out to like Loch Lomond and things like that. Very pretty area of the country. We're quite lucky to have that not too far away from us. But over the course of 2016, they built a new brewery building at the brewery to increase the capacity, and they installed a canning line there in early 2017 as well. But apparently all of the beers that they produce are vegetarian and vegan friendly, and the brewery also runs off of 100% green energy too. When I had a little look on Untappd, these guys have produced very close to 100 different beers, so they are quite a prolific brewery. And you know, it's one that you definitely need to check out. I mean, Platform C was always an old favourite of mine. I really quite liked that one. A nice West Coast IPA. That they still do it as well, so definitely worth checking out if you miss the West Coast IPAs. The Waganui Pale Ale was good, and one of the other things that I really like about this brewery is that they will try and find hops from different places and experiment with them. That's one of the big mantras of this brewery, is that they like experimenting. So if you like different hops and New Zealand IPAs and stuff like that, then this is a brewery that you definitely want to check out. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Fallen Brewing for the moment. Let's get on to the actual beer itself then. So like I mentioned to you earlier, this one is a 6.6% IPA. It's hot with Eureka and Pekko, with a malt base of extra pale, Cara Malt, Cara Pils and Munich. So I think it's going to have a really nice malt base to it. Definitely a nice West Coast type quality in there. But to tell you a little bit about the hop varieties in this, I did a little bit of research on these as well. So Eureka first off then. So this one is bred from the Apollo and Merkur hop varieties, and it was previously known as EXP 05256, and it has an alpha acid content of between 18 and 19%. That's one of the highest alpha acid contents I've ever heard of, but it's supposed to give you big peachy, mandarin and stone fruity flavours, and it's got a kind of green side which is a little bit more kind of piney and resinous. Pekko on the other hand is an interesting one too. So this one was developed by the Association for the Development of Hop Agronomy, ADHA, from two of their own varieties, and these guys They've developed a few different things. These are the guys who developed Azaka and Girillo and stuff like this. But this one is named after the Finnish god of field and crops. It has an alpha acid content of between 13 to 16%, and it will give you melon, pears, pineapple flavours and aromas, and it also gives you a sort of noble-like floral quality. They compared it to Sats, and apparently it has got some kind of minty qualities to it as well. So I think we're in for a little bit of a treat with this one. Like I said, this is part of their line series that they're doing, and the artwork on these cans is designed by Zane Capassi, so yeah, pretty cool. But we can get rid of the brewery notes just now, and we will get on with the tasting. So as you can see, this beer is a nice, is really nicely presented. Actually, I have to compliment them on the artwork here. You can see the hills and the balloons and stuff. I have to say, very, very nicely presented. I do like their kind of, how do you say, their classic artwork, if you like, that's got the peaks of the Fintry Hills too. I always think that's really, really cool. But lovely looking can, this one. And the artwork on these, the kind of line series, the surf line series, is really, really nice actually, you have to say. It says on the side here, Surfline series, an exploration of the hops in the West Coast style inspired by the San Diego beer scene and scenery, zesty and aromatic with a juicy malt backbone and refreshing mouth-watering bitterness apparently. So yeah, 100% natural. This beer is 100% naturally carbonated and unfiltered for maximum texture, flavour and aroma. So yeah, looks really nice. Let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. Oh, a little bit of excitement there as we open it up, but let's get it out and into the glass. Oh yeah, this is definitely going to be good. You can tell. Some of these aromas that are coming out here already look really good. We just need to watch that the head doesn't go too far. But there we are. We'll need to leave that head to die down a little bit. It's always one of the things when you open up these cans. But yeah, we can have a look at it anyway. So as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of, if I shine the light through this, it's actually quite a rich amber looking colour. It's a good mixture between a kind of bright orangey and a very kind of murky yellow, but you can see there's a solid 2 and a bit finger of a frothy, I would say creamy coloured head on this one. It's definitely not perfect white. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the aroma, or the glass rather, and a few jumping up towards the bottom of that head there. If I put my fingers behind the glass, there you can see this beer is actually quite hazy. And see, to be honest, if I saw this in terms of appearance, I wouldn't be sure what to think about this one, whether it was a New England or a West Coast, because it is definitely one of the hazier West Coast IPAs that I've come across. So that's an interesting point to make about this one. So yeah, definitely not as clear as the likes of the Platform C and things that they do before, but you know, as long as it tastes like a West Coast IPA, we can let them away with that. As long as it's got a nice big bitter bite to it, I think this one will be really nice. So let's take a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this beer. Oh, that smells pretty good. Right, straight away with this one, for me, the oranges, the mandarins and stuff that I was mentioning earlier are coming out. So that one was that, I think that was the Pekko that was supposed to give you those nice kind of mandarin-y notes. But yeah, straight away, nice. You can definitely pick out the melon coming out of this one. But it's almost got a little bit of a kind of gooseberry quality as well. So yeah, melons. It's quite an oily orange, I would say, in fairness. I actually think that was the Eureka rather than the Pekko that was meant to give you that. But yeah, it's got a lovely kind of juicy fruity note to it. Mandarins, you know, the oranges are really obvious in this one. For me, that's the most obvious point about the beer. Definitely a nice little bit of a, definitely a good little bit of a melony quality in there. There's almost a little bit of a kind of pineapple-y touch to it as well, which is interesting. I think I said that the Eureka was supposed to give you some peachy notes, and I'm not getting too much of that. You know, it has a little bit of a juicy tropical note to it, but I'm not getting the sort of sharpness that you would expect of peach. It does have a little bit of an apricot-y note, to be honest, a bit more of a juicy note. I've always found peaches are quite sharp, so maybe I'm mixing up that aroma a little bit, but you definitely get a sort of apricot-y note out of this one. Juicy sort of oranges, and definitely some kind of melony note to it also. So yeah, in terms of the fruitiness, it is quite oily and quite juicy in that regard. On the green side of the hops, to me it comes across as quite sort of noble and floral. I can definitely pick out a little bit of that minty freshness in there. I think the head will be masking a little bit of the aroma in this beer, in fairness, but you can definitely pick out a little bit of that kind of minty freshness to the beer. And when you sugar the beer up, actually, you do get a little bit of a sharp, almost limey quality out of it, which is interesting. But yeah, juicy mandarins in there. Yeah, juicy. The oranges in this one are lovely. I don't really get so much in the way of pine resin, to be honest. It does come across as more sort of noble, and I think that was the... I'm trying to remember which one of the two hops that was. Was that the Pekko, or was it the I think that again was actually the Eureka. It was supposed to have a bit of a noble and minty quality. But yeah, it definitely has a little bit of that sort of noble, floral, grassy kind of quality in there. Like I said, there is a little bit of the mintiness behind it too, but I'm not getting much in the way of pine resins. I mean, and that was the Pekko, definitely. The Pekko was the big high alpha acid one, 18-19%, that's a bit crazy. But yeah, the aroma coming out of this beer is really nice. It's actually very, very well balanced. The malty notes are helping the oranges, I think, push their way out of this one. But yeah, so underneath that, there's a nice kind of, yeah, there's a nice bready backbone to this beer. I think there was Munich malts in this, so you can definitely pick out that lovely bready quality in there. A little bit of a biscuity note, some sweeter caramel. The caramel comes across as being a little bit toasted, in fairness. So I really like how the whole aroma of this beer goes together. In some ways, it really does remind me of the Platform C. The malt base smells really quite similar to what I remember from Platform C, and that is for me, that's one of the best West Coast IPAs you'll find in Scotland, along with the likes of Happy Chappy and Rogue Wave from Cromarty, and there's a few others out there that are very, very good as well. But this one smells very, very nice. So yeah, take a bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of this beer. It comes across as quite a bready West Coast IPA, but it's got that lovely malty backbone, some really interesting juicy fruity notes to this. But the way the green side of the hops comes out was a little bit different. I thought it would have a big piney resin note to it, but to me it comes across as being a little bit more noble, but definitely getting that little bit of minty quality to it as well. So yeah, interesting, this one. Take a bit of time with this beer in particular and just enjoy the aroma. So yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we got on. This one is the Eureka Pekko, part of the Surfline range from Fallen Brewing in Kippen near Callander, out to the west of Stirling here in central Scotland. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Oh yeah, right. I'll say with this one, pretty damn good. The piney resins that I was saying weren't present in the aroma, they are present in the flavour. So yeah, just kind of goes to show you that you can get different things from the hops in the aroma and the flavour. I really like how that goes together. This is a very, very nice beer. I mean, like I say, if you are watching from Scotland and you've had the Platform C, think about that beer, but give it a little bit of a kick in the teeth and put the bitterness up a little bit, and just change the way that the fruits come out. And that's what you've got with this beer, I think. And I mean, that's the thing you have to say, is they've got a great malt base, they've got a great backbone with the Platform C, so why change it? They probably have mucked around with it a little bit, don't get me wrong, but the same sort of feel that you get from that is what I'm getting out of this beer. But yeah, that's really nice how it goes together. Where to start with this one? This beer really is good. I'll say straight away, this gets a thumbs up from me. I really like this one. Let's start with the malt base. I usually start with the malt base. So straight away with this beer, you're going to feel that nice bready quality just blanketing the middle of your tongue. You know, it's the typical German malts, that lovely kind of German smoothness to the beer. In the centre of your palate, you're going to get that slightly more kind of oily caramel note. It comes across as being a little bit toasted. As you move further out from the centre of your palate, you start to get the more kind of biscuity qualities in there. And you know, it's a fairly, as I say, it's a fairly solid, straight up West Coast malt base. It's just very well done. I think that's all you really need to say about it. Solid, kind of smooth breadiness in there, slightly sweeter, toasty caramel in the middle of your tongue, and as you move out from the centre of your palate, it sort of gradually gets a little bit more kind of biscuity and things like that. And what I would say in fairness is, it actually does have a little bit of crispness to it, and you notice that you can feel the centre of your palate just dry out a little bit the further you go into the aftertaste. So I do suspect there might be, I think I did say there was a little bit of Pils malt here, was it Carapils? But it really has a little bit of crispness there in the malt base too, and what lingers into the aftertaste is some of the breadiness, but also the sweetness from the caramel side of the malt base as well. So yeah, big thumbs up on the malt base. I've always said the one thing I loved about the West Coast, I love quite a few things about West Coast IPAs, but one of the big things for me that I really liked about that style was the fact that you had a sweet caramelly malt base, and then you had these big kind of hoppy, these big floral hoppy notes on top of it. It's really nice how all of that goes together. So let's look at the green side of the hops then, because this is quite interesting. It's quite different from how it comes across in the aroma. So back corners of the palate, you can pick out a little bit of earthiness there. So as you come further forward from that, you get the big sort of piney floral resins there, and that, you know, that's really nice. That's coming from the Pekko if I remember correctly, but you've got that big piney resinous quality in there. I think the Pekko might actually kind of rival the Chinook for the most big beastly kind of piney resin qualities. That's an interesting. I'll need to remember this hop variety. There's so many of them these days, it's a little bit difficult to keep up. But round the very front curve of the tongue, that's where you get the lighter, kind of more noble, grassy elements that you would expect from the Eureka. But you can also, around the very front of your palate, pick out the kind of minty notes that would come from the Eureka as well. So it's really interesting that you've got this almost kind of minty freshness quality around the front curve of your tongue there, but then you've got the big kind of beast and pine resins around the sides of your palate. So it's really unusual how that goes together, but the main thing is it does work, and that's one of the great things about the craft beers. You're always getting different flavours there that come out a little bit differently. But yeah, I like how this goes together. As I always say then, behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. So for me, this one has a good mix of things in there. If you go to the back of that oily bubble, there's a little bit of that kind of, it's almost like a darker grapefruity quality. The orangey notes that I was picking out in the aroma, they don't come out so much in this one. It's got a very strong, the minty quality almost just pushes back a little bit into the fruity side of your tongue, and that sort of makes it a bit unusual. I've always found if you mix minty flavours with fruit, it's quite difficult to actually pick up all the fruity kind of things. It's like when you brush your teeth and then you try to drink like diluting juice or something like that. It just tastes a little bit strange. You can't detect fruity esters in the same way. So yeah, that might be one of the kind of downfalls of this beer a little bit, is just the minty aspects of the Eureka sort of take away from some of the fruity notes. And I don't know if you can kind of get around that by changing the, I don't know if you can really get around that by changing the ratio of the hops or something like that. But yeah, I can definitely pick up though a little bit of the kind of peachy qualities from the Eureka. Definitely getting some of that in here. There's also a little bit of a, how do you say, what's that again? There's also a little bit of a kind of, the oranges just aren't coming out. It's almost got it's got a big limey quality in there, but there's something else. I can't decide whether it's grapefruit or passion fruit. I do think there's a bit of a grapefruity element to this, but that kind of, it's coming from the fact that this beer has a lot of the piney resins to it, and usually, maybe it's a bit of placebo or something, because neither of these hops are supposed to give you grapefruit, but at the back of that oily bubble, there's definitely that big kind of grapefruity quality to this beer. But yeah, I can definitely pick out a little bit of the peachy sharpness in there, the oranges, the mandarin-y qualities that were supposed to come out of this beer. I really don't get that so much. There's a nice sort of limey quality. If you push further forward on the tongue, there's definitely a little bit more of a limey quality there on the edge of the palate. I'm not getting so much in the way of the stone fruity notes, the berryish kind of qualities that you might expect out of this beer. Well, in fairness, actually, I always say that, I don't detect that, and then I look for it, and then it's there. But if you take this beer in, right on the beginning, you will get a little bit of a kind of red fruity quality. It's almost like a red berry. I don't know if it's quite I don't think it's cranberry, but there's definitely a little bit of a berry quality sitting on the very kind of front edge of your tongue. Behind that you've got those limey notes. The limey notes for me are quite strong. You've got the grapefruit at the back, and then behind that you've got the kind of peachy sharpness in there. It's interesting, there's almost a little bit of a kind of peary quality to this beer too. So there's a hell of a lot going on in the fruity side of things, and it's quite difficult to place exactly what's happening there, but I really find that the thing that makes this beer a bit unusual is that sort of minty freshness that you have around the front curve of your palate. But you know, as we always say, different things will make your craft beer quite interesting, and you know, this is a very, very unusual selection of hops that they've used here, so you have to say kudos to them for that. And that's what I like about this brewery. They always bring the different New Zealand hops over and do different things with them. These two hops I think are both American, but they certainly give you some very, very interesting flavours. So thumbs up to pardon me, to Fallen Brewing for having a go at this. It's cool. It's definitely cool to try this one. So yeah, let's talk about the mouthfeel then. So I would describe this beer as being, I think, fairly mid-bodied. Carbonation is really smooth in this one as well. I'd say overall the mouthfeel it's a mixture of between smooth and oily. Yeah, it's got a little bit of smoothness there, which helps the malt base, but it also helps the oily side of the beer also helps the malty aspects and some of the other things of the fruit come out. So yeah, a good balance between smooth and oily, this one. In terms of IBUs, I think we're talking about at least 60 IBUs from this beer. I think we're somewhere in that kind of region. Overall, I would say the malt base, it's more smooth rather than anything else. I think the big piney resiny qualities and the bitterness are sort of making you feel that the malt base isn't quite as sweet as it actually is. You notice it's a bit sweeter earlier on in the flavour, and you do get a bit more of the juicy fruits in the beginning as well. So the fruity side of the beer for me is a little bit more oily, but the minty freshness makes this beer feel a little bit drier than it necessarily is as well. So there's a lot of interesting things going on in this one. If you want a beer, if you want an IPA that's quite unusual, then this is one that I would recommend that you check out. So yeah, if you see a can of this, pick it up, because it is going to test your palate a little bit, but it's a very, very solid beer. If you like your big bitter West Coast IPAs, you are going to enjoy this one. And as I say, I think it's cool to see Fallen still continuing to experiment in all the different things that they're doing. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Eureka Pekko from the Surfline range at Fallen Brewing in Kippen, near Callander here in central Scotland. So let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Fallen Brewing as well. I'm sure I'll return to these guys in the near future. I will see if I can review another beer or two from their Surfline at some point in the future also. But a really interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review it for you here on the channel. So check this brewery out. If you like experimental hops and things, you are going to enjoy this. If you've been missing a big West Coast bitter IPA, you'll enjoy this one as well. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, cheers, make sure you check out Fallen Brewing.